Do you have something inspiring to say? Have you always known that your voice can contribute to the world? Is now the time? Yes, now is the time. The world is waiting for you. Welcome to the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. Today, we have an inspiring guest who is ready to share their voice with the world. Now, on to the show.
Welcome, everyone, to another fabulous episode of the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on the Inspired Choices Network, where we shine the light on an amazing individual in the world, creating greater, bringing their knowing, bringing their voice to the world, and actually making a contribution that without them, the world would not be the same. So I'm so excited today to have another beautiful guest, and my guest is Myola Woods. Today we're going to be talking about knowing your arousal, living a sensual and orgasmic life. How does it get any better than that? Before I bring Myola on officially, you can hear her. Of course, she's right here with me. But I'd like to tell you a little bit about her. Myola Woods is a pioneer with courage who bravely speaks about the things that make most of us uncomfortable. I hear that. Myola specializes in teaching individuals and couples the art of connection, creating and cultivating the choice of arousal to deepen intimacy, sensation, and pleasure. As a sexual being, mother of 4 teenagers, and pleasure enthusiast, Myola appreciates the time constraints, daily and social pressures that can play havoc on our erotic lives. Myola teaches ways to explore and enhance your lovemaking in everyday life using techniques and practices that can turn you and your life on, taking your intimate life from ordinary to extraordinary. Have the orgasms you have read and dreamed about. You deserve them. Myola is an author, a certified sexology body worker, and somatic sex educator with extensive experience in education, bodywork, and energetics. So if you've had enough of mediocre, ready for change and desiring intimacy, connection, and arousal, stop wishing and hoping and start now. You can connect with Myola at Myola, that's Myola, at eroticcoaching.com.au, and also her website, eroticcoaching.com.au. Welcome to the show, Myola.
Well, thank you very much, Christine. It's a beautiful welcome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And Myola, is you live and work and play in Australia, correct?
I do. I'm about an hour south of the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House.
Oh, wonderful. Wow, what a beautiful place in the world. That is so wonderful. I'm so glad we were able to find a time that worked for us to connect because, of course, I'm on the other side of the world.
Yes.
So, Myola, tell us about your body of work. And I'm sure that there's going to be so many questions coming up. And if you're listening live and you'd love to join us in the chat room and ask your own questions, please do come over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Click on the menu bar where it says chat room and come on in and let's enjoy this next hour with this wonderful conversation. So, Myola, talk to us about this body of work. How did you get started in this?
I got started in this. I've done lots of bodies of work, and sexual energy. I was probably a little bit naughty as a child. I think if I look back, I was a bit naughty, and I always thought there was more, and that it did get me into trouble at times. And people often said to me, "Well, can't you just be happy with what you have?" And but I had this sense that there was more, and I could see things and knew things much more than I was probably supposed to as a child. And so that led me on a path of wondering what happened to sexual energy and kundalini energy and how it got. That's sort of where I started in the energetics of how it was trapped and how it was. How did trauma get kept in the body, and what happened when our life force, the energy that got us here, like what happened when that when that was blocked, when that was, kept hidden, what was happening. So I've always sort of had that desire, that drive to find out, well, what else is there? And in amongst that, I also realized that I could have very wonderful energetic experiences, but honing them into a physical experience with a partner was more difficult for me. So I guess went on a journey of bringing those, bringing the spiritual and the body together. And now I get to choose my own arousal, and I get to choose whether I have orgasms or 20 or none. I get to have that. So that's what interests me in being here, is to share that. I know the experience of, not being able to kind of harness orgasmic energy and sensations to be able to feel them physically, or to, harness them enough to have a climax.
Mm-hmm. So where did you begin? How did you do your research in this? I mean, I'm assuming you did a lot of personal self-discovery with your own body.
Yes, lots of practice, lots of personal practice, yes.
Wonderful.
Hours and hours of practice, yes. But both, solo and, partnered, because where did I start? I started with wanting to know. I knew that there must have been more, and I knew that there must have been a way to get it. And for much of what I've done is I've had a couple of different teachers, but I've taken my own meditation, my own yoga, my own education. I'm an educator, I suppose, and a body worker by trade. So those two fields have really I've always stayed with them. Not that I'm dying or anything, and I've still got journeys to go, but those two themes, the body work and the educator, has really stayed with me. And now I bring that together in teaching people intimacy and relationships, and really I've sort of narrowed it right down to, because I think as mammal, we're not taught these skills. We're not taught how to have relationships. We're not taught how to be intimate together. We're just not taught. We're not educated, but we're expected to know. And so what I would like to do is shift that paradigm and educate people so that I can, empower other people to not put up with, not tolerate having bad orgasms, or not having no orgasms.
Right. Okay, so something you said right at the beginning kind of popped, and I'm kind of getting some questions in my head, picking up some questions from other people. And now this might sound very strange, but how does one know that the orgasms that we are having are kind of bland, are kind of less than the possibilities? I get it personally that there was a time that it changed for me, but I can imagine someone listening to our conversation and going, well, I think everything's fine, but we don't know what we don't know.
It's very true. We don't know what we don't know, and people often say to me, I'm fine. And so, yes, it's that description of what is fine. And I suppose if you have a range of arousal or a range of orgasms, like if we talk in frequencies, orgasm is a frequency. So in theory, we could have an orgasm in our elbows, we could have an orgasm in our toes, we could have an orgasm in our knees. And, even if we just go with ordinary orgasms, I call them ordinary, but if we, where are you? I guess the question could be, well, where are your orgasms? Are they centralized in the genitals? Are you having a full body orgasm? Are you having genital full body orgasms and energetic orgasms as well? Are you having orgasms? So the expanding the variety. I mean, I'm sure there's not ever bad orgasms, but and the intensity. So are are they lasting only a few seconds? Could they last 20 seconds? Could they last a minute? So I suppose those are the questions we could ask ourselves about, well, where are my orgasms? Are they lasting a couple of seconds? Am I only having one during my time of intimacy? Am I having 20? Am I having multiples? So I suppose the questions we can ask is, the intensity, how many, and then the sensations. Are they kind of located generally, or are they expanded, or are they full body soul experiences?
Those are fabulous questions. And I would imagine that if people are not familiar with the possibilities, these questions might actually blow them away. Like, never imagined that this could be going on. Then are you talking about female specific, or are you talking about both men and women?
Oh, I'm talking about all people. All people, all genders, all males and females. And I think we get, without getting distracted too much, but we get a little bit focused on, women have orgasms and men ejaculate, whereas, we both, all gender, we're more similar than we're different in a lot of senses, and both of us can do both, or all of us can do both. So, and we could separate ejaculation and orgasm out for men, and sometimes that is a very new concept for some men to get that their ejaculation and their orgasm can be two different things. And that takes practice. That takes a lot of practice to be able to have the orgasm, feeling, and sensation without ejaculating for them. And I would imagine in our society currently it's the flip side. If I'm generalizing, it's the flip side for women. Women are more easier to have the orgasmic sensations, but they're not. We're not told that we can ejaculate. So I think that's the two mirroring paradigms that we have. Right.
You must have the most amazing conversations with people.
I have amazing conversations with people that are willing, yes.
Well, there's the telltale. How many people are actually willing to go into this area? Has it been a bit of a climb for you, Myola, to have these conversations, to kind of bring this body of work into the public?
It has, and one of the things that I think I do really well is bring it. I look relatively normal, and I speak in language that, even though I use some, technical words, I speak in a language that is, I have 4 children. My language is fairly, simple, and I can certainly speak R-rated as well, but I can also speak relatively G-rated so that everyone can get their message. And my biggest thing is that, this is a normal part of our lives, and we really shouldn't be. We could choose to not hide it away, and we could choose to have more of these conversations so that because we live with our stories in our heads that we think we're the only person that's ever done this or that, and really, when we start talking about it, where everyone has the same stories, really.
Yeah, no kidding. We didn't get here by mystery. We all got here the same way.
Yes.
Which still, I've had these conversations with my 93-year-old mother, who's the mother of 11. And she still doesn't want to talk about it. Which cracks me up. Wow. I'm like, okay, Mom, we won't talk about the fact that you've had 11 children and how we got here.
The lights were off. It doesn't count. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Okay, well, we're just getting started with this fabulous conversation, and it's time to go for our first break of the show. When we come back, Myola, I would love for you to maybe walk us through how we can start to go on this path of having more of the orgasmic living, and what our listeners can expect or look forward to when they're actually connecting and working with you. So everyone stay tuned. We'll be returning right after this short commercial break where we're going to be talking with Myola Woods, and we're going to be talking more about living and knowing your arousal, living a sensual and orgasmic life. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a wonderful guest in the Open Mic Spotlight Show, Myola Woods. And before we went to break, we were actually talking about how she began and what are some of the challenging conversations or where they begin. So, Myola, I would love to hear about where someone begins to create more of this or arousal and orgasmic and the sensuality of living. Where would you invite somebody who's so green to this? Where would you invite them to begin to explore?
Okay, so beginning is just that, we begin. And if we're very green, actually it's the same sense for everyone, is often it's the first step is to slow down, and to slow down enough that we can actually feel our bodies, notice the sensations in our bodies, feel what's happening. And often what actually happens is if we become aroused, we often go faster and we lose track of what's happening when we move very fast. If we slow down and we follow the sensations in the body and we follow the pleasure in the body, when we follow our arousal in the body, because we actually need both nervous systems we need our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxed, in tune with the universe, chilled part of us, and we also need our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight and flight. But we need our arousal. We need that parasympathetic nervous system to kick in so that we can be relaxed and so that we can actually notice what's happening, so that our, and I'm going to get a little bit technical here, but also what happens when our parasympathetic nervous system kicks in is our genitals can engorge. And when our genitals are engorged, often we feel more. So the more blood flow we can get to our genitals, the more often we can feel the sensations, we can notice sensations, and we can then start to have, and this is a slow process for most of us who have never taken any consideration of our bodies, and often we override our bodies with lots of things. We override it with food, we override it with exercise, we override it in the cold, We override it with the clothes we choose. We tell it we're going to wear this, this dress or this. So in instance, it can be the unlearning of all of those behaviors as well, and really slowing down so that we can notice what's happening.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I mean, just you explaining that, I can imagine that people will be more in touch with the invitation they can be to what their body can experience, as opposed to just getting it on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of women who have lost their mojo, and one of the things that they come to me with is they kind of feel bad that they don't feel aroused anymore, and I give them permission to not feel aroused. It's a bit difficult to feel aroused when you're running around all the time, and you've got you might have a new baby, and you're doing the housework, and you have a job, and you need to put dinner on the table, and you need to do lists and all those things that sometimes as women we tend to do. But while we're doing all those things, arousal is very difficult. And it's so first of all, I kind of give them permission that your body's not going to get aroused like that. And they nearly have a breath out, like a realization of, wow, that's not going to happen. Wow, it's like a penny drops or the light turns on, that I need to do something different. I need to give myself space to actually want to be aroused, or even the space to even know that arousal is possible. When we're busy in our heads, when we're busy, and even for me, like I would consider myself now to be, an orgasm queen, or but if I was searching for an orgasm, or I was trying to want one, or if I was in my head trying to create one, it doesn't happen for me either. I have to, the orgasms need to come from the body. And so if even for myself, if my head takes over, and I think that we have, we tend to have orgasm scarcity, I think is what I would call it.
I can't wait to hear this.
Where we think we're only going to get one. I work with a lot of women, and so there's the story that they have in their head, so they're replaying this to me. So is, is it too late? Is it too early? Is this the right time? Is this not the right time? Oh, don't move. If you move, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to, yeah.
I thought that was only men that did that.
No, I don't think so. I think everyone does it equally. And I know we're giggling and we're taking it light, but I suppose when for people in that situation who don't, in their minds they've only got this one chance. They've only got one scene, one play to have their orgasm, and if it doesn't happen and something moves, or I don't know, the moment loses or whatever, which often happens because they're in their mind trying to construct something, right, then they have this scarcity. And I often tell them, well, I don't know why do you think it has to be that scarce? Could you not have an orgasm before you take your clothes off? Or could you not have 3? Like what? And then couldn't you actually, as foreplay, if we wanted to describe it like that, could you not have another couple? And then during actual intercourse, if we call it that, could you not have some more? And then, maybe when you're finished, or when you decide to finish, however that is, could you not have some aftershocks as the body is still kind of alive? And that is like a paradigm shift for people, that from the scarcity to an abundance of orgasms is a big shift.
Wow. So, okay, I'm sorry. My mind is still absorbing all of this as you're communicating with people. What's the next step? Once you invite them into that possibility, what's the next step to take them into this more orgasmic? And how do we take this orgasm in the body to our orgasmic living?
Yeah. Great question. So when we slow down and when we notice what the body is feeling, then often we can have orgasms with the wind, blowing against our necks, or brushing our hair against our necks, or our fabric brushing against our skin. We can also, when we're eating, and in this moment I'm talking about food. So when we're eating food, we could be having pleasure and noticing that arousal in the body, and taking that orgasmicness. I mean, that is the energy this is how we got here. For most, I know there's IVF now, but for most of us, it's the same energy that created us. We could live our lives in that creation energy of orgasmicness, in our kundalini, our prana, however you wanted to. So it's I guess slowing down and noticing what is possible, and noticing how the body is feeling. It all really comes back to the body, noticing what's happening. And some of the practices I give my clients often feel like the, Mr. Miyagi's, from Karate Kid. They feel like the wax on, wax off, or the paint the fence, like that. And they do feel like a little bit like that. And because they're kind of, they're simple, but they're, it's repetition that creates the new neurological pathways in our brain that creates new sensations and new wiring in our bodies. So yes, when we first begin, it's a lot like that wax on, wax off, and then it is as we progress together. It is a little bit like that moment when the Karate Kid gets it, and he all of a sudden he realizes he hasn't been waxing the car and painting the fence. He's been learning. So in my instance, learning how to breathe, learning how to move, learning how to touch, learning how to notice, learning how to be curious. Because often as adults, we don't allow ourselves to be that. We have to get it right, and we have to know how to do everything. When we want to be more aroused, and we want to be more orgasmic, and we want to be more sensual, then there's a playfulness and a curiosity and a fun that needs to kind of happen with that. Well, it happens naturally. As soon as we start asking the questions of, what else is possible, and we start asking, well, what if I move this way, and what if I did more pressure, and what if I had less pressure, and what if I breathe differently, then once we start asking those questions, fun and lightness usually automatically comes in.
Wow, my brain is in so many directions right now. I don't even know where to go. Like, I know it's like, okay, yeah, and that, and this. So this is a fabulous conversation. We do have, I know you have a special gift that you're going to be sharing with all the listeners, and I'm going to tease them and we're going to tell them all about that after our next commercial break, because we love them hanging around. So if you are listening to us live, or you are listening in the replay, you're going to be able to take advantage of this wonderful gift. So you definitely want to listen in and check out this replay, the information in the replay. We will have all of her lovely, juicy gifts for you there. But until then, we are going to continue with our conversation. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat room. And if there's anything that's popping into your mind, Myola, that they may be asking, or some of the common questions that you have from your clients or people you speak with, please let me know.
Okay.
So, awesome. We'll be going to our second break now. And when we get back, we'll be sharing the wonderful gift with you. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have a wonderful guest, Myola Woods, and today we are talking about knowing your arousal, living a sensual and orgasmic life. So before we went to the commercial break, we were teasing them, Myola, about the special gift that you're going to be giving them. So would you like to share that with all our anticipating listeners?
So this is one of my favorite ebooks that I put together. It's the 5 principles of sacred lovemaking. So it's put together with the ideas. It's a simple, practical book or a little book that enables you to begin the deepening of your relationship. You know, you can grow into intimacy and you can, connect with love. We all want more of that. We all want to discover the ways that we can, be more vulnerable with our lover, that we can, encourage them. We can encourage ourselves to go deeper. And I think that happens, in long-term relationships, that sometimes we forget that they need nurturing and they need encouragement as well. They don't have, the hormones of the beginning relationship, so they need to be nurtured and cared for. So the 5 principles, to give you a bit of a tease, the 5 principles are presence and patience and practice and pleasure and passion. For me, those are the 5, the 5 elements that keep a relationship juicy and alive.
I love what you say about your book on your website. Learn techniques to transform your lovemaking from ordinary to extraordinary. Discover how to make time for each other and your relating, and enhance your skills to take your intimate life to a new level of succulence together. Okay, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm ready to read that right now. That is absolutely fabulous. Well, aren't we all lucky that we get a taste of that today? Wow. That's fabulous. Now, you've also written a book. Is that correct, Myola?
I have written a book. I've just released my new book, and it's called It's an Inside Job, 12 Seductive Secrets to Your Arousal. And it goes through 12 different, I share 12 different secrets, and there's a bonus one as well, but the 12 different secrets. And basically the book, I've been able to bring together my spiritual life, my educator, my, somatic sex education, my body work, and put it together with, so that there's the book has step-by-step guides for both solo people and partnered people, because I have a sense that our erotic lives, our sensual lives, our intimate lives begin with us. And so the practices are there so that we can be all nice and juicy and succulent, and then take that to someone else instead of expecting someone else to bring that to us. So that, right. And then if two people are playing from that paradigm of being juicy and succulent themselves, then that's a different ball game that we're playing. We're playing
it's a very different connection.
Yes.
Now, were you about to say we're playing in the big leagues then?
Yes, everything's a pun. I know everything's a pun in this work. It's great. It's fantastic.
Well, you must have a lot. Yeah, I was going to say, you must be finding that you're in that space. And so I guess one of my questions is, if someone has a partner that is either not interested or feeling overwhelmed, I guess, when you were talking about women, and certainly I've been there myself, where the day-to-day of kids and life and, the house and the food and all that just took every bit of ounce of energy. When you have someone that is in that space, whether it's the male or the female in the partnership or the other partner, whether it's a same-sex partnership, how can you invite them into showing them that having this orgasmic relationship with their body can actually contribute to their life in other ways? Like, what are the benefits for this, for our busy, crazy lives?
Well, benefits for living a more sensuous and orgasmic life is, we get to experience life as a sensual being and noticing, and we're not just kind of running around like a mouse on a wheel. But we also get to, often it, invokes, feelings of joy and happiness and fun and laughter. And it usually, we feel better in our bodies. It doesn't matter what size or shape our bodies are. Often when we're loving and nurturing in our bodies and, and practicing with our bodies, we feel better in our bodies. And, and often that translates to looking better and people commenting, wow, you've changed your hair, or, that's usually what people say, you've changed your hair, or that dress looks lovely today. And really it's that inside out. We're moving and loving our inside of our body. We're changing, and so it's transforming our outside life, and people behave differently. So often our relationships become deeper and more, not just relationships with our partners, but also relationships with our families and our children and our colleagues, because we are more comfortable. We are often more confident, and that translates out into the world of how we operate with everyone. I think that's some of the benefits.
Right. What do you find?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the conversation of somebody, there's a lot of dynamics in that. If one partner is very interested and the other partner's not, there's quite a few dynamics in there often, and often and depending on what's going on, like if someone's just, if there's a newborn baby or if there's something actually going on, sometimes usually what I notice is there's something not being spoken about. There's some emotional disconnection happening. People sometimes aren't consciously know that that's what's happened, but usually when I work with people that are at two extremes, it's often that there is something that is underlying that is stopping the connection. Because even most of us don't necessarily care so much if there's, if we've narrowed it down to just intercourse. Most of us are wanting that connection and that intimacy, and we're usually wanting more than just that intercourse as well. So we want to expand our repertoire and expand our understanding of what is intimacy. And I do a lot of teaching in techniques and skills, and one comes to mind where I teach we start off with calling it a hand a hand job really, and where we go to in the course of the workshop is a sacred cock massage. And often what happens is, the beginning, people are a little bit, I just give a hand job just for it to be over with quickly, done. And the best thing about a hand job is when it's finished. And when we move into feeling sensations, and when we go into feeling pleasure, and we go into, this is nearly like a sacred meditative space. And if you're connected with your partner, both at a heart level and a sexual level, when you're giving, genital massage, whether it be male or female, that is a totally different paradigm to give and receive from. So that expands our repertoire of intimacy and connection and vulnerability. And I have a sense, not that I'm saying we all want to have, genital massage, but I have a sense that when we expand our repertoire beyond intercourse, that's what we're actually looking for.
It's that connection. It's that vulnerability with another person. And even with ourselves.
And yes, because often, we don't want to be vulnerable with us. We never loan anyone, never loan anyone else. Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. So when someone is working with you, Myola, what does that look like? What are the do you have different ways that people can work with you, both private and public?
Yes, I do have a few different ways people can work with me. I do online programs. So sometimes people see me face to face, and they come and we do different work when we're working face to face. And I also have online programs that are, 12 weeks long and 6 months long. What I find is that we all need that support and that encouragement and that accountability of practicing and really changing the neurological pathways from, the old ways of, fast and furious in whether that be our lives, and to really being slow and sensual and soulful. That takes time. So I work with people now, giving them time to integrate that, and so that their life changes, so that it's sustainable. So I work with singles and I work with couples. Is who I usually work with.
Okay. And do you also have, do you go to do public speaking? Do you put on large events as well?
Yes, I speak at expos. I run workshops. I go to festivals. I'm very involved in the community. Yeah. So, we'll talk to anyone who'll listen, really.
So do you travel, have you ever traveled to North America to put on any conversations, talks about your amazing work?
Would you like to invite me? I would love to come. I'm talking to someone about 2018 doing some work over in the States, so.
Fabulous. Well, keep us abreast of everything that you're doing. I would love to know what you're doing and where we can actually, maybe once you get that set up, then we can have you back on the show and we can talk about that and let everybody know where to expect you. Fabulous.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I have a question, and I just want to put it out there, and then we're going to go for our final break of the show. But just to really invite everybody into this question. So I would love to know what the most common question is that you come across, and what is it that is triggering that question, whatever that question is, because I have no idea what it is, but that's what just jumped into my mind. So Before we leave for the show for today, we're gonna get that question brought forward, and I'm sure that Myola is going to be sharing much more with us. So stick around, everyone. We're going to take our last break, and we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around with us today, and my wonderful guest, Myola Woods. And Myola, before we went for break, I did ask the question, is what's the most common question or questions that you actually receive with your body of work?
Yes, so there are two questions that I often get asked. And the first one is, how do I enjoy sex more? That's a broad question, but often people, because they are tired and they've lost their mojo, or they have pain. So often women, I'm going to say women, but women in particular, sometimes they have pain in their pelvis, or they've had, stitches from birth, or where they've had scar tissue, or there's kind of a lot involved with women. And so sometimes they don't enjoy sex, or they can only enjoy it in one position, they have a limited range of how it might happen, and often that is because of pain, some sort of discomfort, and I've worked with a number of women with this, and their symptoms are a bit different, but the big heading is I'm not enjoying sex. And in each case, we've worked on going into the body and finding out what is causing the discomfort, what is causing, and we keep a lot of beliefs, whether they come from society or whether they come from our religious backgrounds or whether they come from our families. So sometimes, our pelvises, I think that in society, I think it's okay to speak about, my shoulder stores, too much responsibility, or our knees, not willing to bend, or not willing, I think we're kind of at the space where that's a common knowledge. But for some reason, we seem to think our pelvises, our pelvic floor, and our genitals, they're totally different.
They're off topic.
Yeah, they don't store anything. But that's not what I have found. What I have found is they are like the rest of our bodies, and often they carry the beliefs, that, you shouldn't have sex before you get married, or pleasure is not really, you shouldn't have pleasure. Pleasure's no good. Pleasure is the, you have too much pleasure, and, or there'll be tears. there'll be tears for all this laughing. There's, you can't, all of these society or bodies, only these people look sexy, only these people are allowed to have pleasure. All of those things, or shame, beliefs, all of those things, all of those, patterns seem to get stuck in our pelvis, our genitals. And so a lot of the time when I'm working with the body and working with the person, we're moving those beliefs, I guess we uncover them and realize, wow, okay, that's not actually what I believe anymore, and I can choose to move on from that. And sometimes the process is a little bit deeper than that, depending on what it is. But so usually after we've worked through that deep transformational work, they often feel more in their genitals because often they're numb. So they feel more sensations, and when we feel more sensations, we become more aroused, and we feel more sensations, and we become more aroused, and we feel more sensation, and often then that leads to really quality orgasms and intense orgasms. So, people often see me and they're having pain, and then they move along the ladder and having no pain during sex, and that is a big milestone for if you were having pain, to, actually having quality orgasms. So that is... But it
That's
takes
a huge jump.
It is it's a big jump.
Well, that's phenomenal. I mean, we all have our own personal stories, and one of the things that I think you've really touched on is that we all do desire to have greater experience in our bodies and greater sex lives, whether we realize it or not. And how much are the bodies actually screaming for this?
Yes. Yes.
Their beings may not think that they desire it, and their bodies are like, seriously? Could we have some more fun?
If we even went to just a fundamental science level, we're mammals, and so we love connection. We love that. That's what mammals do.
Right.
So even on a real basic level, we want it. We desire it.
Right.
And so the other question I get asked all the time is, we've been together a long time, how do we keep it hot? How do we, how do we keep it alive? And so that's the second question I get asked a lot. And for me, it is, actually spending time, investing in our relationships. And sometimes I still don't work society out. Like if we bought a house together, and, after 10 or 15 years, if we had done nothing to the house, we would be saying, look, it needs a paint job, and it probably needs, at least it needs new curtains, but it probably is getting close to needing a new bathroom and a new kitchen. And we just take that for granted, that we've been here a long time and it needs a spruce up, but our relationship, we don't seem to invest the same amount of time and money and quality into it. And we seem to get offended. Well, if my partner says to me, well, I think we might need to go and do a course, or, let's go and, do some sacred massage courses, then all of it, is what I'm doing not okay? Am I not okay? What are you saying about me? And we create a whole bunch of, terrible
drama.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're cute.
Yes, we are cute. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. This is such a bountiful body of work that you've stepped into, and I'm so glad that it's become more commonplace for us to have these conversations. Everyone, you need to go over to Myola's website, Myola, MYOLA, at eroticcoaching.com.au is her email address. eroticcoaching.com.au is her website. We're all out of time. Thank you so much, Myola, for being with us today and for everything you're creating in the world. Have an amazing life, bringing more pleasure into you and your body, and create that orgasmic life. And absolutely check out these beautiful free gifts. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Radio Show. We will be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, continue to create you with joy and inspiration.